Hi, this is RN Bhaskar from BKBB, which is an acronym for Bhaskar Ki Business Baatein. It's a channel that comes to you with policy analysis, conversations, and occasional business stories. But right now, we at BKBB, which talks about news behind the news. And we pick up some developments, some headlines, some news items that need to be looked at very carefully. And yes, do watch our two podcasts this week. One is on how India breeds many more Epsteins than people realize. If Epstein was a bad name the world over, in India, it's sleazy, it's slimy, worse than anywhere else. And the second story is on security, where we talk about the Indus River Treaty between India and Pakistan. Okay, do watch them. Today, and yes, one more little reminder, please click the subscribe button, click the like button. That makes a lot of difference with the algorithms that YouTube has. And most important, tell all your friends about us. That helps our numbers grow. We're growing, but we want to grow more. Okay, let me begin with a story about how corruption and theft has shaken the nation. The Ayodhya case is a starting point. The Ayodhya case is the starting point because money was stolen from Ayodhya temple. But the other forms of corruption in Ayodhya as well, which we'll talk about later. But the other immediate story was on how Tamil Nadu has filed a case with the police about someone trying to bribe and take away a chunk of MPs and split the party so that the present chief minister, who has toppled the BJP and toppled the DMK and toppled the AIDMK, he does not remain in power. The figure being talked about is about 35 crore. And they want to take several MPs and bring them over to the BJP possibly, or support the BJP. BJP is not directly in the picture. But going by the pattern of what happened in West Bengal, how the entire elections were marked by the SIR, which made sure that many people in critical constituencies could not vote, and also they got disenfranchised, and also by whole-scale migration of a chunk of TMC's MPs shifting allegiance to the BJP. Everyone knows that such large-scale shifting cannot take place without large dollops of money. In Maharashtra, I had a similar situation where the Shiv Sena of Thackeray suddenly saw his people migrating to join the Shiv Sena. Money is the currency that is talked about today. There is no principle, there's no loyalty, there's no democracy. Democracy can be shattered by the SIR and the likes of it, but confusing the concept of citizenship, and also by huge amounts of cash. And as everyone knows, empirical, experiential evidence, if that can be called evidence, tells you that all charges against MPs and individuals are dropped once they shift allegiance to the ruling party. It's never been this bad. It's never been this frightening. India is in a situation where all values, all concepts, even all planning is reduced to how much money can be given to whom to shift loyalties. The Tamil Nadu case is just one thing that's come in the headlines, and the Ayodhya, the money that was stolen, is another. There are other forms of corruption in Ayodhya, which we'll talk about a little later. And that finishes my first story. Let's take the second story, which Manjushri will talk about. Manjushri, come in.
Yeah. So this is This is about something that comes up in the news every now and then, from missing land records, violation of rights of vulnerable communities on one hand, and allegations of questionable land deals by political leaders on the other. Starting with a case that recently came from the state of Madhya Pradesh. The state officially began digitizing its land records somewhere around 1999 and 2000. However, by December 2023, the union government had claimed that 99% of the state's land records were all completely digitized. However, recently, 250 tribal farmers came out and protested in the Bhagwanpur Tehsil because their land records seem to be missing from the digital records. This means that the affected communities that are farmers, Adivasi farmers from Barelia and Bhil communities in this region have lost rights to a lot of their government schemes like the PM Kisan Samman Nidhi scheme, access to subsidized seeds and fertilizers, crop insurance, minimum support price, and even annual financial assistance. This incident raises a larger question about digital governance. Can a program can be considered if the people it is supposed to empower ends up being excluded from the whole from the digital records? If they are not benefited, can this be called successful digital governance? uh, in the background also is a recent case where the chief minister of Madhya Pradesh, Mohan Yadav, was alleged in land scams around. He and his family is alleged to have acquired around 137 plots covering 168 acres of land in Ujjain for about 45 crores. And this issue is not just confined to Madhya Pradesh. Across states, land administration has repeatedly come under scrutiny over allegations of manipulation and misuse by political powers. Most recently, the Criminal Investigation Department arrested former JDS MLA K. Lingesh, two former tehsildars and others over an alleged scam involving fraudulent regularization of nearly 1,700 crores of government land. This means that land which belonged to the government were given away to unknown residents of the place. Now, such scams involving politicians and land deals happen again and again. Sir, what do you think about this?
Shri, you brought out a very crucial and sad situation in India where land is grabbed, often by helpless farmers. Luckily, in Madhya Pradesh, it was the tribals who are known to come together and make a lot of noise in case there's injustice. But a lone farmer whose lands have been usurped by a politician, what does he do? And digitization makes a lot of sense for good governance, provided the digitization is honest. The fact is, like in this case, when digitization takes away land records, what do? Any minister can make a land records disappear from the digital records. And unfortunately, India has laws that a minister cannot be prosecuted till clearance is given by the higher ups. A government officer cannot be prosecuted till the clearance comes to higher ups. Usually the higher ups are in league with the junior officers as well as ministers, and that is why nobody gets arrested. Corruption rolls on and on. Of course, the BJP accuses Priyanka Gandhi and her husband of grabbing land. But look at what happened to K.S. Lingesh from JDS. 10 others were arrested in a 750 crore rupee Karnataka land scam. Then you had the Sena minister who was charged with land grab. And then you also had other kinds of scam situations where a politician in Bombay, in Maharashtra, was arrested because he had grabbed the lands belonging to the Nizam by fudging records. The list of scams is huge. Then there was a case where Arunachal Pradesh Chief Minister, Deputy Chief Minister, the Chief of UP Special Task Force, and Brij Bhushan, the notorious politician, his son was also involved in land scams. If corruption was bad, land scam is worse because it affects the small farmer. In Ayodhya, lands were taken over, and in some cases, lands were bought at a small price and sold back to the temple at a multiple of that price. India is sitting at the edge of a precipice with corruption and theft. It has been the worst ever situation in India's history. Will it change? I don't know. But there's other kinds of bad news. The bad news is a report by Bloomberg which talks about how India's GDP could slip. Natasha, could you come in?
Hi, hello, good morning. So today we'll be talking about how Taiwan is in dire straits and how it could affect India's economy. For example, there would be a big hit to the Indian economy. Our GDP could fall by about 6.8%, similar to the slump we saw during COVID-19. Now, this would come about if there were to be any sort of war or confrontation between the China and US. This would lead to disruptions in the Taiwanese Strait, and it could also extend as far as the South China Sea. Now, India's exports primarily make up around 2.6% of our GDP. These exports typically include textiles and commercial goods. Now, this could be damaged if there were to be any restrictions across the Taiwanese Strait. Another 3.3% of our GDP could be lowered if there were to be any damage to Taiwanese semiconductor tabs, as well as a ban or restriction on their rare earth minerals. And lastly, we could lose another 0.8% due to global market panic. Now, this would happen regardless of whether the war was long-term or short. So, sir, what do you think about this?
The problem is that the US is egging on Taiwan to go against China. India is being roped in as part of the Quad to become another Ukraine and position itself against China. The Japanese Prime Minister was in India to seek its support so that it could support Taiwan and against China. When the world, including USA and Israel, could not defeat a country like Iran, you think you could defeat a country like China? The ramifications of that war will be huge. And the Middle East crisis has also shown how India can be hit. If the Taiwanese Strait comes under fire, you can be sure that India will be hit much, much more. Moreover, if there's a war, please remember India is surrounded by neighbors where India has not cultivated friendship with its neighbors. India is vulnerable. Unfortunately, politicians don't realize it. They are more interested in someone backslapping them, and they think that they are basking in the sun, irrespective of what the country might undergo. Thanks, Natasha. Very helpful, very useful. And that brings us to the end of today's session. And do remember to click the like button, to click the subscribe button, and to tell all your friends about us. And yes, do watch our 2 podcasts this week. One is on how India has many Epsteins, and the second is on India's security treaty on the Indus water with Pakistan. Do watch both of them. And finally, tune in once again next week. Have a great week ahead, and we look forward to seeing you once again. Take care. Good luck.